What is a seemingly mundane question you can ask somebody that will tell you a lot about their personality? Favorite compliment they've ever received. It tells you a lot about what people think of themselves and what they tend to value. How would you describe the internet to a caveman? It will show you how they look at what the internet is used for. For example, some might say it's a source of information or a way to connect people who are far away. I know one person who said they wouldn't explain it to a caveman because they wouldn't go back in time without AC. My father-in-law went on a job interview about 10 years ago and absolutely nailed it. As he was being shown around the office, a high-level person in that company who normally wasn't there just happened to be there that day. After they were introduced, he asked my FIL what kind of animal he would be. My FIL said he panicked and picked a bear. He's a bigger guy, and the other guy said something along the lines of, "That's a little too aggressive. Maybe this isn't the job for you." So he didn't get the job, but I guess it worked out because he's got a pretty good job now, and if I was him, I wouldn't want to work for someone who hires people based on what animal they think they would be. Bullet dodged. What would you do if you won the lottery? For me, it's a non-invasive way of listening to people's attitudes on finance in general, and also how they feel about the rich. Yes, this is a brilliant question. When I was newly dating my ex-boyfriend, it was around the time Super Lotto hit $1 billion a couple of years ago. We were both in lottery ticket pools and discussed what we'd do if we won. His answer mortified me. It included how if he were married, he'd divorce his wife and travel the world on a yacht doing drugs surrounded by hot women. Big red flag for me. I always say that I turn into an absolutely abhorrent degenerate if I were to suddenly get a cash prize like that, but in reality, I just say that because I get a laugh out of people's reactions. I don't even know what I'd do. Probably just quit working, find a music teacher, and play bass and video games all day long. What are you having for dinner tonight? It's really cool to hear about what people like, what their culture is like because food is a huge part of that, and generally just how they live, expensive or cheap, quick or elaborate, adventurous or safe. What was the last thing you did that gave you childlike joy? My 14-year-old asked for a longboard last spring. I'd said no before because I figured that it'd be something I'd spend a few $100 on that she'd try once, not be good at right away, and never touch it again. It wouldn't be the first time. After being locked up for 2 months with quarantine, I figured, why not? It gets her outside and maybe something she'll enjoy. At that point, I just wanted to get her out of her room and off her phone. I'd never seen her work so hard at something she wasn't good at right away. After 2 back-to-back 6-hour days of practice, she started to get the hang of it and asked me if I wanted to try. I couldn't even stand on a board when I was a kid, but as an adult, I just got it. I wasn't on it for 5 minutes, and I said, I need one. We left right then and picked one up for myself. We cruised all spring, summer, and fall. Not only was it great for bonding, but I hadn't felt that kind of joy since I was little. A moment I'll never forget. Can't wait for the snow to melt. Got this one in an interview once. How do you go about eating a muffin? Learned a lot about muffin anatomy that day. It was a bakery, after all. What superpower do they want? I know there are more powerful powers that could get me wealth or whatever, but man, teleportation would be dope. Can travel the world but always sleep in your own bed and never need to book a flight. Never need to use a public restroom. Easily visit family. Only take road trips if I want. Can live and work anywhere. The rest of life could be normal, but it'd be great. My buddy says that everyone choosing teleportation lacks imagination. He wants the power to make the conditions of anything true if he can get someone to agree to it in a sentence. So, for example, if he could get someone to agree that he can have access to their house whenever he wants, then he would have access to their house whenever he wanted. Or if he could get someone to agree that having children with him was the best choice they'd ever make, then it would be true. He has some seriously sinister thoughts with this power. I keep asking him to not turn into a supervillain, and he just cackles. If you could have dinner with any 3 people from history, who would they be and why? First things first, you have to choose some people who all speak the same language. I doubt a dinner with Jesus, Genghis Khan, and Leonardo da Vinci would be enjoyable with the language barrier. If you were a farm animal, which one would you be? I said this to a girl once, and it started a 5-minute rant about how she was a princess and therefore would not be an animal.